Hello and welcome to this month's edition of What's Cooking Rutland. I'm Bethany Yon. I'm a nutritionist at the Vermont Department of Health and part of Rutland's Nutrition Coalition that brings you this show each month. And it really is spring, hooray, we're in sleeveless, it's getting warm finally. And this is our May show and we are featuring WIC foods today. So kind of thinking back to August, I had my colleague Ashley on for World Breastfeeding Month and we were talking about WIC foods then, but it was around baby foods and cereals that are really hard for folks to use. And so when we look at what our WIC families are purchasing for WIC foods or not purchasing, we're finding that whole grains tend to be really challenging. So we're building a show around whole grains. And so to talk about that and how to cook with tortillas and rice and pastas, I have Justin back this month. So slide on over, Justin, it's a little bit in the camera, yay. So Justin's one of our WIC nutritionists.
Yes.
And so he's the one who actually brought forth this idea of, you know, the brown rice and the whole wheat pasta. You know, families just aren't purchasing it. So we have some ideas and strategies. And because we don't have kids at home, so we needed to bring an expert on for this month to talk about what are our kids really going to eat. So we have Brittany Collett who's joining us, yay, who is a mom of 3 and really exciting. She is writing recipes and doing some columns for the Vermont Foodbank. Really, really exciting. And so a mom of 3 and a foodie.
Yes.
So preparing healthy food for her kids and playing with it so that our kids will eat
very picky
foods. Yeah, those picky eaters. Everybody has picky eaters so often. So we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks in terms of the things that we're making in the mix and match nature. So what we have set up for you guys today, again, that focus on whole grains. Justin and I are going to do up some whole grain tortillas. You've seen us in the past play with either tortillas or pita chips. And then we're going to make a couple of different dips to go with that. So we're going to, you know, the whole grain tortilla chips have to be consumed with something.
They're better with dip.
They're better with dip. Everything's better with dip. So we've got a peanut butter yogurt dip that we're going to play with. We have any bean dip we're going to play with. And then these guys are going to duel it out with some whole grain salads. So kind of sort of a mix and match with, and we could have some brown rice that Brittany's going to play with. We have some whole wheat pasta, which is actually cooking right now, that Justin's going to play with. And it's kind of going to be, you know, anything goes and what things you want to actually make. So I think that's it, right?
I think so.
We'll get it all done. In a half hour, boom, we're going to get there. It'll all happen. So tortilla chips. Justin and I were chuckling that we, you know, approach these a little differently. So whether it's a tortilla or whether it is a pita chip. So this is a whole wheat tortilla, right?
Yeah, so these are.
I know, I didn't.
I don't know what the thing. But they're definitely they're whole wheat.
I hit it. So yeah, so this is a whole wheat, and here I am reading upside down. God bless America, a fajita. And so sometimes I think the trick, and Brittany, maybe you've had this experience figuring out, you know, what foods, you know, are considered to be eligible with the WIC program can sometimes be really challenging, but this is one of them, looking for whole wheat. And so I am a scissors girl when it comes to dealing with tortillas and pita chips, and Justin.
I would like to see this because I've never seen it with scissors.
You haven't?
My typical strat is to fold them.
Yeah, check out what this guy is doing.
Just cut them.
He's folding and cutting.
And then ripping.
And
then baking.
And baking. And I look at this, just slice down the center.
And the nice thing with these is even like a couple tortillas makes an unbelievable amount of tortilla chips.
And depending on who's having them, how big would you make these for your kiddos?
I'd probably cut it into 3 or 4.
Into just so this like big triangles.
Yes.
Ooh. They're much bigger than
Look at that, way bigger.
Yeah.
So, but I'm asking because, how old are your kids, Brittany?
The youngest is 1 and the oldest is 5, and then I have a 4-year-old.
So they need to be able to hold on to something.
Yes.
So they need to have a lot of surface area to actually grab. So do you want to cut up a few, and I'm going to go rescue, I'm going to go turn off a timer that's beeping in the background. And we got the whole grain pasta going because we knew it was going to take a little time.
Yeah, and the nice thing with tortilla chips is they're very quick and they're very easy to make. And for a lot of kids, they're a lot more of a palatable version of whole grains. Because with the WIC card, you can get, that was pretty awful, you can get tortillas, you can get bread, you can get rice, or you can get pasta. So we have a pretty good selection of everything today that's all WIC eligible, and basically some,
Those over here.
those look good, some quick, easy ways to cook it that are pretty palatable to kids. And especially with tortilla chips, they're pretty similar to kale chips, that they're very flexible. You can make barbecue ones, you can make ranch ones, you can put salt and pepper and olive oil on it. You can really flavor it.
I need to hit a pause button. Like, say more about this, because I am just a plain old put the tortillas in the oven and bake them off. Occasionally I may drizzle a little oil or some cooking spray and maybe some cinnamon sugar or maybe some spice, but you just said like barbecue. Like what on earth is barbecue?
You can use a lot of different seasonings on
So
these,
the seasonings that you have, a barbecue seasoning.
Like different like cumin and like different spices and different herbs on them basically. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Cool.
Basically, a lot of times they're really good plain, but sometimes if you have a kid that's not necessarily a big fan of that kind of whole grain flavor in general, it's nice to mix it up and try different things on it that they might like.
And then that's where the dips that we're going to make come in, because you know everything is better with dip. So you're going to put a little bit of olive oil on these, right? Do you need a spoon, or how are you going about doing this?
A spoon would probably be good.
Spoon just
that
to
would
drizzle.
be an unbelievable amount of olive oil I would get on there, probably.
It would be crazy. I'm trying to think. I didn't bring a brush with me. I should have. My apologies. Or is there a brush back there?
Ah,
there's a brush.
Look at that. So we'll use a nice little brush. So we'll just put a little bit on these, and then basically they just have to go into the oven at 350 for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then just kind of check them and flip them basically.
Oh, you flip yours?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have to. It kind of depends on how you like them. If you don't flip them, sometimes one side gets cooked a little bit more.
A little bit more.
But
okay.
it's all good.
Awesome. So there we go. Super easy. Tortilla chips, and you can either cut with the knife and do big folds and all that, or just go right down and any shape or sizes. So, you know, the other thing I think that can be fun for kids is playing with different shapes. So doing squares and triangles, and then it kind of becomes, you know, really fun what do kids want to actually choose for their particular tortilla chip.
And it's something they can play with and kind of do on their own, which a lot of times makes kids a lot more invested in the meal and a lot more likely to try things, because they're the ones that are kind of playing around with the food and getting to really experience it and
How
try
many minutes
things.
did you say, Justin?
I do 10.
10?
Yeah. And then we'll just check them and see how they're doing.
Starting.
Flip them if we have to.
Yay. So those are in the oven, so now we need something to dip those in. So I'm going to start on a bean dip down here at the end. Brittany's going to help me prepare this. So what I love about this bean dip recipe, so this is, again, you know, my favorite places to go to for family-friendly recipes, Chop Chop as well as Food Hero. And so this bean dip, which is really in any bean dip, is exactly that. You can use whatever beans you want to use. So we've brought in a whole variety, but I love playing with white beans. So as opposed to, I love garbanzo beans. So we've got garbanzo beans here. We've got black beans. We've got kidney beans, but we also have the cannellini or the white kidney beans. And what I like about white kidney beans is that it tends to make a moister bean dip. So we've already rinsed these. You've heard my story in the past. I am all about canned beans. Those of you who have time to cook them, you just go for it, but I don't. So canned beans are fine alternative. You just want to make sure that you rinse them really well to deal with the sodium. So Brittany did that for me already, and she's going to town with garlic. So what bean dip would be complete without garlic?
Nothing's complete without garlic.
Yeah. So in go the beans into the food processor. And I'm just going to reach over and cut this lemon in half. So the recipe calls for some lemon juice, and you can either purchase lemon juice or use the reamer to actually squeeze out your own.
It smells good.
Doesn't it? I know. It's so much better when it's fresh juice. So I'm going to pick out some of these seeds and slide over and let you throw the garlic right into the food processor. Some lemon juice. And Justin, we need that oil, that olive oil.
There you are.
So we're going to use about 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm actually going to use a little bit less and see how dry it is, just because I find that white and kidney beans tend to be a little moister, more moist than some of the other beans. So not quite a quarter of a cup. And you could add a little bit of salt if you wanted to, or you could skip salt altogether if salt is a concern in your family. So just adding a tiny amount, and then we're going to make some noise here. But this really becomes whatever you want to have. Oh, it smells so good.
We need one of those in my house.
So this actually looks really yummy. The other thing that we can do to this with this recipe before I spoon it into a bowl, you could, again, this is now the basic. We have, we brought a zester with us. We could actually zest some of the lemon rind in, which would just give it some extra pretty color that could either get mixed in, or, you know, when you buy hummus at the store, it has all of the fun stuff in the middle in the container. So you could do the same thing when it's in a bowl and make it really pretty. And depending on your family, that's either going to be a good thing or a bad thing. So you just need to know your family, whether they want to see little flecks of things or whether they don't want to see flecks of things, and make your decision about what you're going to garnish with. But we're going to move this over into another bowl while our tortilla chips are cooking, and Justin has a yogurt peanut butter dip. So I've got a bowl here I'm going to move stuff over to, and we're going to do one of my faves, yogurt peanut butter. Go to town.
All right. So yeah, this dip is incredibly simple, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So basically, all we're going to do is mix yogurt and peanut butter together. It also calls for some cinnamon, which you could do if you wanted. I really like cinnamon, so I'll probably throw some in there. But it's a really, really, really simple recipe. We just have a spoon. We just have some plain yogurt, but you can obviously use a lot of different flavored yogurts if you wanted. What is it calling for? I typically just kind of mix it all together. Okay, so this is calling for about a half a cup of yogurt. And then so this is a really good dip for the tortilla chips, and it's a really, really awesome dip for fruits and vegetables. And it mixes up really well. And a lot of times, especially with kids, dips can be real miracle workers when it comes to fruits and vegetables.
Everything's better with some sort of dip.
Yeah, so a quarter cup of peanut butter. I would probably want to do more than that, but let's see.
Hey, Justin, tuna, I'm just thinking about peanut butter, since we're talking about WIC foods, really the only quote-unquote nut butter that's a WIC eligible food is peanut butter, correct? You can't get other kinds of things. But if you have a family that has allergy issues, you could use any particular nut butter or a soy butter in this as well. Sun butter and such.
Almond butter, sun butter, any butter in general.
So totally whatever's going to work for your family.
Tahini, I think, would probably be okay. All right, so there is that.
That's the pasta.
And then all we're going to do is mix it up. And a lot of times you can even just eat this plain. This is a great high protein, high fat, very satiating snack. So even if you don't want to use this for dip, you can probably just eat this with a spoon and it's going to be really, really good.
I know, this is one of my favorites. Because it has yogurt, it has to be refrigerated, so it can only be out for 1 to 2 hours, and then it's going to need to go into a fridge. When it comes out of the fridge, it's going to be really, you have some cinnamon someplace.
Yeah, where did that go?
Right in front of you. When it comes out of the fridge, it's going to be really thick, so you're going to want to let it soften up a little bit, or stiff.
A lot of cinnamon in there.
I know. Cinnamon's one of my favorite things.
Oh, that smells good. All right. And that is pretty much it for the dip. And
Yay!
then
Once you throw it into that container so that we are ready to garnish. The chips are almost done. Oh, that looks beautiful. Thanks.
Look at that. Fits in there and everything.
Yay! Perfect. So we're just gonna assemble, just begin to assemble. Since we're not using the stove, we're gonna put the dip in the middle of a plate, and then we'll have some of the hummus or the bean dip on the other side that Brittany garnished really pretty with. So what this was, we had rainbow carrots, right?
Yes, rainbow
So
carrots.
we have orange carrots and as well as some white carrot on
bump that
top. So how are they doing? Not quite ready?
I think we got to bump it up a little bit.
Okay.
Do that.
I'll keep monitoring those. If you guys want to, we can clear a few things from here and move into some of the rice salads. So the rice salad and the pasta salad.
Sure.
So we already
Sounds
cooked
great.
up the pasta salad. So I don't know.
Thank you.
For me, it's like when I do pasta salad at home, or I often think with kids, I really try and find like fun shapes. And it can be really hard with whole wheat pasta to find like really fun shapes. So we have penne here that we've cooked up for these whole grain WIC foods, and which is going to be fine, but yeah, I think if you search really hard in different stores, you might find some. So we've got the code up here on the screen. So if you are a family, if your family is participating in the WIC program, watching this show, there's your code to call into the office to keep your WIC foods going for another 3 months. Let them know something that you might be interested in giving a whirl. So I am going to pass pasta off to Justin. Brittany is playing with my leftover brown rice.
Yes.
So I'm going to go check on the tortillas that are beeping while you guys are assembling some salads. So 2 different whole grains, vegetables. What the dressings are a little different, and once I check on the tortillas, we're going to figure out what you guys are doing.
Yeah. All right. So these recipes are incredibly flexible. So essentially, they just take whole grains as a base. So the one that Brittany's working on is with rice, and then this one is with pasta. And this one also calls for tuna, which is a great protein source that you can use in it. I know too. We brought some cheese, which you can also get with the WIC card. So for another kind of more kind of high protein, high fat source you want to put in your salad, you could always use cheese. So we drain the tuna. I don't want to use that again. Let me grab it.
Yeah.
And then we're just gonna add it, and then it essentially just becomes really flexible and whatever you want to put in it. So the recipe calls for some zucchini, some carrots, some onions. So we brought kind of a real mixed bag of stuff. We brought some peas, some other zucchini. So it just becomes whatever vegetables your family's comfortable with and what you like eating, basically.
Yeah, so the rice
However
salad calls from, looking at here, celery, apple, raisins, and almonds. And so so part of me when I think about the mix and match of this is what do your kids or what does your family like?
My kids do not love vegetables, especially my middle child. So you cut it up really finely so they can barely see it.
There we go. So those little tricks. So look at, she has awesome knife skills here. So chopping the celery really fine. So it's going to get mixed up. And you know, these guys are being awesome and they're measuring. But as you know me, when it comes to vegetables, you don't even really need to measure, though, you know, go gangbusters. And you can never add too many vegetables. Though if you've got picky eaters in the house, you may have to be a little careful in terms of how much is being added.
Easy when you make smoothies to trick them.
Yes, exactly, pureeing things. So otherwise, you know, but do they like fruits? Are you cutting up an apple
They do
here?
love fruits. They do love fruits, actually. The vegetables, the greens mostly, are the hard things. So if you put some food dye in your smoothies, that helps hide the greens.
There we go. Or use blueberries so then it comes out purple.
Yes.
Yeah, so those different tricks.
My baby loves blueberries. She eats a pint a day.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, super fun. So yeah, so the celery got chopped really fine, so you wouldn't see a lot of it. And Justin, you just went gangbusters and added all different colors and big.
And especially with carrots, like I know I had some at home, trying not to cut my fingers off, that are different colors. So you can get different, like purple carrots or other colors. So if your kids are very anti certain colors, you can be flexible at the store and find some fun stuff and go with that. I know we cooked a lot with purple cauliflower for a while.
Ooh, that's fun.
Purple cabbage is really nice too.
Yes, I love.
So there's a whole bunch of different options. Let's do some zucchini.
So I pulled these out and they're feeling nice and crispy here. You know, they're not bending.
Oh,
so
those are
I
really
think
crisp.
that
They
they
didn't
worked
brown
really
that much,
well. Well, you know, it might be hard to see.
Yeah.
I can see on the edges that they're a little bit brown, and it may just be difficult to see because they're whole wheat and they're kind of sort of brown to begin with.
Yeah, those seem done already.
So I'm going to just toss some around here. And we have dueling knives here, zucchini on one side and
I guess
apples
Brittany
on
has
the
much
other
better
side.
knife skills than I do. Mine are
She does,
not.
awesome knife skills. I'm
not
like, oh my gosh,
Thank you.
super impressed. Woo.
That's actually pretty big chunks too.
And I do love how we have all these different sizes and shapes here because, you know, again, depending on what fingers are reaching for these, they're going to be able to manage. I'm just going to tuck this. There's going to be a hot pan behind you, Justin. Just be careful.
I know too sometimes peeling the veggies versus not peeling the veggies is always an interesting debate also. I know some people really like the skin, some do not.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm totally fine never peeling.
Right, but with zucchini, would you peel zucchini, Brittany, for your kids because they're green phobic?
It depends what you're making. If you're putting it in like a chili or pasta sauce, I would keep the skin on so it has a nice little crunch and it doesn't mush.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be like making mash or a zucchini pasta, then I would peel it.
Okay, yeah. So it all depends on what it's actually going to look like.
Yes.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes, and then cutting it up.
So again, knowing your audience, you know, and so different vegetables. So I'm trying to think. So they're green phobic, but there are plenty of other veggies that could go in there that aren't green. So,
yes,
you know, instead of celery, we could have used red bell peppers. That would have worked really beautiful.
Yeah,
or
give it a nice
red
kick.
or orange or yellow bell peppers.
Some tomatoes.
Tomatoes
I
would
love
work really
tomatoes.
beautiful. So, okay.
Lots of herbs, cilantro, parsley, basil, those would be nice.
Fun. And so, are your kids okay with those things?
They are, as
Even-
long as they're chopped finely.
I was gonna say they're green. Whoa, the panic, the whole green food thing. So we need to find, you know, figuring out those tricks. But but fruits are actually going to work well, so that's great.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really mix and match. So then the question becomes, you know, we were talking earlier about dressings. So the rice salad recipe is going to have its own little dressing. Do you want me to start that dressing for you?
Sure.
I can do that, but Justin is not a dressing guy.
I am not a fan of dressing.
So the pasta salad recipe calls for either a little bit of a mayonnaise or a little bit of a salad dressing. So you could make your own, but you all know me, making my own salad dressing is one of my challenges I need to work on. So I've just kind of brought some in from home that we could just add a little bit. Similar to Justin, I really prefer a drier salad. So I often cut the amount of dressing that they're calling for in half. So for this rice salad, it's calling for, it says a half a cup of plain yogurt. I'm actually going to cut it back a little bit because a half a cup of yogurt in this rice salad feels like that's going to be
A little too much.
a little too much. So I'm going to do a little bit less. I'm just going to mix it all up in a measuring cup. And this is that same plain non-fat yogurt that Justin was using for the peanut butter dip. And a little bit of, ooh, that looks really yummy. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I'm gonna have to make this at home. They'll love it.
Yeah, honestly. A little bit of orange juice just to kind of give it the dressing a little flavor. And depending on your family, so this recipe, this is using non-fat plain yogurt. That might be a little tart for some for little tongues, or they might be fine. So we're gonna add just a little bit of sugar to try and just take care of some of that, since there are some golden raisins that we've added, so they're going to be a little on the sweeter side. But just for fun and some additional color, since red I think sounds like it's an okay color for your kids.
Strawberries would be great.
Strawberries would be great. Now we're adding some dried cranberries. So I'm just gonna add some of that and let you stir, and then we can kind of judge what we think, if it's too wet or if it's too dry.
You may have to add a little more rice.
Which we have. So
Yes.
thankfully, because this was using leftover rice, I mean, brown rice can take a long time to cook. So when I cook it at home, I make like a huge pot, so it's kind of sort of one and done. It can go into your freezer to come out to be used in salads and soups later. So yeah, I agree. We use like a fraction of the amount of dressing this is calling for, and it is looking a little too wet, so we're gonna just add some more rice to it. And if you wanted to, you could add some more veggies. Justin, how are you doing over here?
cutting up some onions, so my eyes are starting to water.
Okay, I'm glad you're on that duty and not me. I'm going to stay away because onions
I
and I
didn't
don't
put in
get along.
too much onion, but again, it kind of depends. Like onion can be a pretty overpowering
I can.
flavor, so if you're not super into it, you can always kind of cut back on it a little bit. But it is a very nice flavor to add to salads.
I prefer the purple onions and the red onions because they're
Oh,
sweeter.
fun.
Yeah, a little bit of sweetness is always nice with them.
All right, I'm going to reach over for
Yeah.
a tablespoon measure. So the recipe calls for like a quarter of a cup of salad dressing, but again,
You
we're
could
going
add
to cut
something
that
there.
back. We're going to start with a little more than a tablespoon and see what that does, just to add a little bit more moisture to this. And I'm cheating, the store-bought salad dressing. Sorry, salad dressing friends. I will conquer this one of these days, I promise.
That can be its own episode.
It has been, and I'm
Really?
still, this is my challenge. So let's give that a stir and see what that
Yeah.
looks like to have added a little bit of salad
Yeah,
dressing.
and this recipe in general, we cut it back a little bit because it had called for 2 cups of pasta and then 2 cans of tuna. So we had kind of dialed back a little bit on that, but then continued to add in a lot of veggies.
All the veggies, exactly. So we cut back on the pasta, cut back on the tuna, but then just keep going with all the veggies that you possibly want.
Not too bad,
And
I must
again,
say.
not that pasta's a bad thing, but we just figured we didn't need quite that much for making. That actually looks that looks nice. That looks really, really
Excellent.
nice. And this looks
We
beautiful.
actually used all of the rice.
Oh my gosh, okay, yeah. So that says, so it's like, okay, way less dressing.
Way less dressing.
Way less dressing.
It's
so
still
those of
pretty
you looking at
moist.
that recipe, way less dressing than what we actually called for. So we were going to cut some apple up to put along
Oh,
this
yeah, let's
plate
do that.
because apple with peanut butter yogurt dip is pretty amazing. We could cut a few celery sticks because that's going to, well, your kids don't like celery, so maybe.
Some kids do.
Yeah, but some kids do. So adding
Especially
that
with this
alongside. And then sample things just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So we've covered a lot. We did a lot here. This is
did do-
amazing. I love having an extra set of hands in the kitchen. This is like easy for me. Oh my goodness gracious. So yeah, so we have, again, these whole grain foods that, tortilla chips, so whole wheat tortillas, can you buy corn tortillas with the WIC card as well?
You can.
You can.
Yes.
So you can use corn tortillas to do the same thing to make a corn chip. Also going to be great with these dips. And so this any bean dip that just looks so beautiful. I can't wait to dive into it. That we did with the white beans that has this beautiful garnish on top with the rainbow carrots. Adding some veggies to this plate. What an awesome snack. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
And then a couple of different salads that, again, we've got some recipes for you, but you can play with those in terms of shapes, and then what you want to add for vegetables and fruits and whether or not you dress it or how
Yeah.
much you dress it, depending on what you and your family actually
Yeah.
like. So
I feel like a dip would be nice with some vegetable sticks as
vegetables
well.
along the side. Yep, toss them right in
That
the
looks
side.
really good.
This is somebody who knows how to present food.
Very fancy.
This is great.
Thank you.
Brittany and I are going to have fun together.
It's my favorite
on
part.
future show. Awesome, because it is not my strength. So we are going to make an awesome team down the road. I can tell for
Thank
sure.
you.
So I want to just throw some of this pasta salad into a pretty bowl. And
Yeah, that looks good.
that looks really great. And this is not an individual serving here, folks. This is just for a presentation. And we'll throw that in front. And
Yeah, we didn't even use, we have a lot of celery
we
left.
have a
a whole
lot of
bag
celery.
peas
And
left.
so we have this rice salad. So I'm just going to slide these almonds over onto a plate or this bowl, and we can put some rice salad into this one.
That is really, really good.
Yay. Justin, Brittany, thank you so much for joining me. This
you.
has been
Yeah,
really, really fun.
Thank you.
To play with these different recipes and this mix and match. And really and truly, folks, the recipes that we're sharing with you are just guidelines. What you do with them, it's really what your family likes, what you like. The key here, whole grains, and as we always say, as many vegetables as possible, mostly ones that your kids are going to
Yes.
like. A little bit in there, the ones that that they don't, to challenge their taste just a little bit so that, you know, down the road you can trick them.
Eventually.
Eventually they'll actually like them. You don't give up. You don't give up. So I think hopefully you've heard that loud and clear. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next month. And we're going to have a little whole grain buffet here. I'm super excited. Yum. I don't even know where to start.